What the hell happened? Part 26. In the last part, I talked about trying to reconcile things directly with my wife Delilah, and it absolutely not working at all. And me figuring out that I needed to leave her, be done with this whole group of Mennonites, and somehow not lose every penny I've ever had in my hand in the process. So it was March 17th, 2022, when I made that final trip to try to get things worked out with Delilah. Figured out it wasn't going to work out, and then I'm back here in the homestead, and I have to figure out how to be rid of all these people. My moderators are coming. Um, Rick and Alice, they're here most of the time. They they helped out tremendously. They helped prep me for that whole trip. They were so disappointed when I got back. They were just like, she's gonna talk with you. Things are gonna work out. And they felt so bad for like sending me and just get utterly rejected like that. They felt terrible about it. But anyway, they stayed around the homestead a lot that summer, helping me do stuff. I believe it was sometime in May when I had all the mods come out all at once, and I'm just like, we should all just actually meet in person and hang out. It started with one person coming out, flying out, and that just kind of like helped settle a date. Um, but there were a couple other meetings and different times when people came. But I got to meet Jen, who's one of the moderators, for the first time in May. She showed up. There's actually somewhere out there is a video of the very first time she showed up on the homestead, because I was just videoing everything. Stuff was happening. We were having fun, and we were all a great group of friends, and it was just really cool. So we just started doing all that, working throughout the summer. Um, I also had a meet and greet, I think, in June, and a bunch of mods came out for that, which was super cool. Jen was, again, one of the mods that came out for that. And at this point, we had no, relationship going or anything. We just, hanging out just in a group with everybody. Throughout most of that spring into summer, I'm trying to get all the assets divided up so I can get a financial separation with Delilah and figure out how to pay Jezebel, my sister, off, who, by the way, I still haven't spoken to as of the recording of this video since the day before she left. So we're over 2 years on that. Never a text, never nothing. I was told she did not want to talk to me, and so I guess I still honor that, and I don't really know what I would have to say anyway at this point. So trying to figure out how to do all this, like, I dumped all the funding that I had into this property. I had maybe, yeah, I don't even remember how much I had. All I knew is for sure the financial separation's happening. That means I need to first of all make sure that I get funding over to Delilah, because we're financially separating. She wants to start this whole new life. She wants to go into the medical field. Well, kind of the medical field, medical industry, I guess. Whatever, doesn't matter. Um, anyway, so I send her a check for a bunch of money, and I just get started as we're figuring it out. I make sure to send her her part, and then figure out how much to pay Jezebel, and of course the whole group, the Mennonites. That's the only way I have to communicate with her. And Nabal, my brother, is also another way. He's actually in the medical field and was one of the most as far as the accusations go, the accusation of being a narcissist was most predominant, I think, from him. And I feel like narcissism is kind of a medical diagnosis. It's not in his field. I kind of feel like if I really wanted to, I could mess his life up in a crazy way by saying, hey, this individual in the medical field is practicing medicine outside of his field, and giving people, assigning people, mental illnesses essentially. Anyway, onto the financial part. I have like 150,000 in financial assets, and I have to split it up amongst all three of us, and we all have to come to agreement. It's a whole thing, and then how am I going to get the funding? Because I really wasn't making that much at the time at all, and I didn't need to make much, so it wasn't a big deal. But all of a sudden, I found myself in need of a bunch of money, like really fast, or I just have to let these people be owners. And then they were talking about payment plans and how I could do payment plans through them, and then it kind of means that like the Mennonites and all this group get to be a part of this somehow, and I just was totally unwilling to be involved in that. So the other option was Rick and Alice. They offered to, they were very ambitious in helping out around here, really helped pull me out of my slump as much as they could. Ended up wanting to be a part of it, like financially, or at least offering it, particularly when I was talking about that and going through that. So I heavily considered it. There were a couple red flags in the way that they treated people and stuff that I just didn't think worked out all that well, or were going to work out all that well. Ended up contacting a farm credit place, and turns out I could just so squeak the exact amount I needed, plus about $2,000, which I used to buy a bunch of 2x4s so I could frame out this building. Because it was pretty obvious to me I'm never going to be able to build a house, but at least maybe I can get out of the camper before it falls apart. So I've got this whole financial plan set up, everything's in motion, and call and talk with Delilah, because we're still talking like once a week. I'm trying to keep up any kind of like relationship to the point where nobody realizes that I'm about to divorce Delilah and throw them all out of my lives. They're still hoping that there's something they can do, some way they can like be a part of this or me or whatever it is they wanted, or maybe they just wanted the money. I really don't know. And I don't really know who ended up getting what money, how much of it went to the individuals it was supposed to, and how much may have gone to certain Mennonite individuals, or I don't know. But I basically was left with a net worth of $30,000 and a ton of debt. Thankfully, it was all in one debt, into one payment. And it was like $700 a month, and I figured I could swing that. Just before the financial separation, I'm talking with Delilah on the phone like normal, and she says, maybe, I don't want to hurt you. Maybe, if this financial separation's, gonna really cause you a problem, I could pay her some money later type of thing. So kind of like payments, but no set time. She didn't want me to lose the homestead. And so that kind of threw me through a loop for a second. Really wasn't sure what to make of it. And then she started telling me about this whole group and how they're like not being nice to her anymore, and they're being hard on her for some reason. And so there was a real like separation between like the group, the Mennonites, and her. And she's never really been much of a Mennonite. Like, it's not really in her past, just in our early married years. And they were just not being nice to her or something. I don't remember all the details. But basically, again, I could not see any way forward. Like, you can forgive a number of things, especially when given enough years. And I realized there's not going to be enough years in my lifetime to ever possibly be able to move past it. So, nope, I said, no, it's fine. I got a loan. I can make it happen. And just basically, we can do the financial separation. We both agreed to it. I think it was somewhat unfair, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Money's only good for making problems go away, and it was, in this case, able to make this problem go away. So that's what I opted to do. Yeah, and it went off good, paying off Jezebel. That went through, the financial separation went through, and now the stage was prepped for me to get the heck out of all of this. Next part.